Hello learners! It's nice to see you again. Welcome to Valenzuela Live English 7. I'm glad that you are coping up with the new normal of education with the guidance not only of your teachers but also of your parents and guardians. Your active participation through your comments to Valenzuela Live is an evidence of your eagerness to learn in the middle of the great challenge the world is facing today. And with that, salute to you, precious learners. This morning, stay tuned in as I take you again into another journey of learning and rediscovery. Make sure that you have your paper and pen with you. Don't forget to write down important details. We will be using the learning material prepared by Mrs. Christina Odoma, Master Teacher 1 from my son National High School. Today, we will discuss on this most essential learning competency. Use the simple past and past perfect tenses correctly in varied contexts. And we will focus with the following specific learning objectives. First, differentiate simple past tense and past perfect tense. Second, identify forms of verb in the simple past and past perfect tense. Third, complete sentences using simple past tense and past perfect tense. Are you ready? Let's begin. Read the following sentences carefully and analyze the underlined words. Here is sentence number 1. Filipinos exchange products to live. Here's the second sentence. Early Filipinos enjoyed a simple life. And here is the last sentence. Foreign relationship had already existed before the Spaniards came. What did you observe about the underlined words? Let's take a look at the underlined words once again. We have exchange, enjoyed, had already existed, and came. Now, what part of speech are the underlined words? Correct. They are verbs. A verb is a word that shows action. And when we speak of verb, there comes tense. Do you still remember what is a tense? Excellent learners, you still remember. A tense tells the time of action which is indicated by the verb. So learners, what are the three main tenses of the verb? Correct. We have present, past, and future. Now, let us see how much you remember. What is the tense of the words from the sentences earlier? Exchange, enjoyed, had existed, and came. Okay, you are really doing well, learners. You're correct. The words exchange, enjoyed, and had existed, as well as came, are all in the past tense. Let us now rediscover the past tense of the verb by studying two actions completed in the past. Let's differentiate simple past tense and past perfect tense. Are you ready? Let's begin. Simple past tense. It is a verb tense that is used to talk about things that happened or existed before now. It is commonly formed by adding D or ED for regular verbs, or by changing the spelling for irregular verbs. Here are the examples. Number 1, Filipinos exchange products to live. Number 2, early Filipinos enjoyed a simple life long time ago. Number 3, the Spaniards came. For sentence number 1 and number 2, the underlined verb is exchange and enjoy. These verbs are all regular verbs, while the underlined verb in number 3, which is came, is an irregular verb. Here are other examples of regular verbs and irregular verbs. For regular verbs, we have the words walk, dance, tempt, cook, hop, and shall. And when we change these words into past tense, we just add ed. While for irregular verbs, we have the words rise, write, sing, eat, fall, and break. If you would notice, when we change the words into past tense, their spelling also changes. Now, do you observe the changes in spelling of the word hop? When we change it to simple past tense, it becomes hopped. Verb, or the base form of the verb, plus D or ED. For example, we add walk plus ED equals walked, and dance plus D equals dance. But in the case of the word hop, we follow a certain rule. For your information, we follow rules in forming simple past tense of regular verbs. Rule number 1. If a short verb ends with consonant vowel consonant or CVC, double the last letter and then add ed. For example, hop, stop, and top. As you observe in these following examples, we double the last letter and add ed to form the simple past tense hopped, stopped, and topped. But if the verb ends with W, X, or Y, do not double the last letter and just add ed. For example, play and mix. So we just add ed to form the simple past tense played and mixed. Rule number 2. If the verb ends in a consonant plus Y, change the Y into I and then add ed. Example, try, change into simple past tense, it will become try. Rule number 3. For longer verbs, if the last syllable ends with CVC and the syllable is stressed, double the last consonant, then add ed. For example, prefer. When we change it to simple past tense, it becomes preferred. However, if the first syllable is stressed, Do not double the last letter. For example, enter. It will become entered when we change it to simple past tense. For irregular verbs such as rise, wrote, sing, eat, fall, and break, we do not add ed. We also do not follow specific rules to form the simple past tense. What you need to do is to have the mastery of the simple past tense of irregular verbs as they change their spelling. Here are the time expressions that you can use for simple past tense. We have last night, last Sunday, last week, last weekend, last year, last month. We can also use a year ago, a month ago, a week ago, 3 days ago, an hour ago, or 10 minutes ago. We can also use yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon, or yesterday evening to express simple past tense. Let us now see how much you understand. Complete the following sentences by supplying the simple past tense of the verb in the parentheses. Let's begin. Number 1. Our teacher planned a song to inspire us. The given verb is write. Number 2. We blank Valenzuela Live yesterday. The given verb is watch. For number 3, Mayor Rex blank students free school supplies. And the given verb is give. Kindly change the given verb into simple past tense and type your answer in the chat box. Let us now find out if you got the correct answer. For number 1, the correct answer is wrote. For number 2, the correct answer, watch. And for number 3, the correct answer is gave. Good job, learners! Let's now proceed with past perfect tense. The past perfect is a verb tense which is used to show that an action took place one or many times before another point in the past. It is a past action before another past action. For example, in the sentence, foreign relationship had already existed before the Spaniards came. In this sentence, we have two past actions. Had existed is our past perfect tense because it is the action that happened before another action which is came in the simple past tense. Let's now discuss past perfect tense. The past perfect is a verb tense which is used to show that an action took place one or many times before another point in the past. It is a past action before another past action. For example, in the sentence, foreign relationship had already existed before the Spaniards came, We have two verbs in the past tense, had existed and came. Had existed is our past perfect tense because it is the action that happened before another past action, which is came. Past perfect tense is formed by the auxiliary had plus the past participle of the verb. Just like in our example, foreign relationship had already existed before the Spaniards came. Had existed is our past perfect tense. For your information, past participle is not a tense, but a form of verb intended for perfect or passive tenses and can't be used on its own. For regular verbs, we normally add ed to form the past participle, but for irregular verbs, there are no rules to follow. These are examples of verbs with their past participle. We have the word awake, be, blow, buy, live, catch, run, and forget. Their past participle are awaken, been, blown, bought, left, caught, run, and forgotten. Again, those are irregular verbs. Let's take a look at the following sentence. The train left at 9 a.m. We arrived at 9:15 a.m. When we combine these two actions, it will become when we arrived, the train had left. We have there the past perfect tense had left. Here are some examples of irregular verbs with their past participle. We have awake, be, blow, buy, live, catch, run, and forget. Their past participle is awaken, been, blown, bought, left, caught, run, and forgotten. Observe that the past participle has a different form from the past tense. Let's try to study the following sentences and use past perfect tense. The train left at 9 a.m. We arrived at 9:15 a.m. The sentence will become, when we arrived, the train had left. Had left is our past perfect tense because it is the action that happened before the action arrived. Here are more examples. Sentence number 1, I was not hungry for I had just eaten. Number 2, they were hungry, they had not eaten for hours. Number 3, Mary was not home when I arrived. Where had she gone? In sentence number 1, I was not hungry, I had just eaten. Just is used with past perfect tense to refer to an event that was only a short time earlier than before now. For sentence number 2, or negative sentences, we insert not between the auxiliary verb and the main verb, just like had not eaten for hours. For sentence number 3, we exchange the subject and the auxiliary verb as we are forming a question, like where had she gone? Take a look at the comparison of simple past tense and past perfect tense with the following sentences. Sentence number 1 for simple past tense. President Duterte called for a press briefing yesterday. Sentence number 2. The pandemic brought a huge change in our way of living. And sentence number 3. We stopped our business operation last week. For past perfect tenses, we have sentence number 1. Before we knew it, the pandemic had taken out normal life. For sentence number 2, we started our online business after my father had resigned from his job. And sentence number 3, when you came, I had just finished my assignment. The following are the time expressions that you can use in expressing past perfect tense. We have before, when, after, as soon as, the moment that, and until before. Now, supply the correct form of the verb to complete the following sentences and type your answer in the chat box. Sentence number 1. We blank, live is the given verb, the province before the ECQ was implemented. Sentence number 2. She never went out from the house after the president blank announced is the verb, the curfew hours. And sentence number 3. I blank, forget is the given verb, my worries when the test result came out. Again, type in your answer. Let's now check your answers, learners. For sentence number 1, the correct answer is had left. For number 2, had announced. For number 3, had forgotten. Did you get a perfect score, learners? Wow, congratulations! And you're getting all the correct answers. Great job, grade 7. Now, I want you to meet my friend, Ramil, and he is writing a letter to his friend or best friend, Nancy. Can you help him finish his letter? That's great. Now, here's how you can help Ramil. Read the short letter carefully and supply the correct form of the verb and put your answer in the comment box. Dear Nancy, how are you doing? I feel so sad for not seeing you since the pandemic started. I blank our pictures during our school activities last year after I blank my phone gallery. I blank remembering how bonding moments together. Online classes blank when President Duterte blank that ages 15 above can't go out from their houses, and since we are both busy now, we cannot still see each other. I pray that soon everything will be fine. I really miss you and your friends. Your best friend, Ramil. Let's now find out if you got the correct answers. For number 1, saw. Number 2, had scanned. Number 3, tried. Number 4, had started. For number 5, declared. Did you get all correct answers, learners? Wow, great job. But if not, it's just fine. You are still doing good. We are now in our question and answer portion. I will give you 2 minutes to type your questions in the comment box and I will be glad to answer them. You may now start and I will be back in a short while. And I'm back. Let me now answer some of your questions captured by our moderator. Our first question is from Malanday National High School. What are the techniques that can be used to memorize the past participle of irregular verbs? Well, as what I have mentioned earlier, there is no certain rule to follow in forming the past tense or past participle of irregular verbs. So for you to have the mastery of these tenses or this past participle of irregular verbs, you need to read more and familiarize yourself about the past tense and past participle of irregular verbs. Let's now have the second question from Mapulang Lupa National High School. Does past perfect tense always written before simple past tense in a sentence? Well, not necessarily. You may also write the verb in the past perfect tense after a verb in a simple past tense, and you just use appropriate the time expression. Recall our first sentence in task 3. We had left the province before the ECQ was implemented. You may write it in an opposite way, such as before the ECQ was implemented, we had left the province. Let's now have our last question from Vicente P. Trinidad National High School. What is the importance of knowing the difference of simple past tense and past perfect tense? Well, that's a nice question. Being knowledgeable about simple past tense and past perfect tense will help you express ideas and information clearly. You can easily express your thoughts, especially if it's about your experiences in the past. For additional activities, in order to practice what you have learned today, your teacher will guide you in answering the activities in your learning module. And that ends our learning journey. I hope you learned a lot and thank you for joining me in today's educational adventure. Keep on studying hard and remember, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world according to Nelson Mandela. Again, this is Mom Michelle and see you in our next learning journey here at Valenzuela Live English 7.